In a quiet corner of Tennessee, 17-year-old Liam Bennett lived with his mother, Rachel, in a weathered trailer near the edge of a cornfield. Since the death of his father, an Army veteran and part-time musician 2 years ago, a heavy silence had fallen over their home. Grief had become a constant companion, wrapping itself around their lives like a thick fog. One stormy afternoon, while rummaging through the shed for an old toolbox, Liam stumbled upon something unexpected: his father's upright piano. It stood under a dusty tarp, surrounded by old, forgotten tools. The surface was chipped, and the keys had yellowed with age. Yet when Liam pressed down on a single note, the sound stirred something within him. A memory, a flicker of warmth. He could almost hear his father's laughter again. That night, with rain softly tapping the tin roof, Liam found himself playing a melody, an old tune his dad used to hum. It wasn't perfect, but it was full of feeling. Rachel stood silently in the doorway, hand over her heart, listening. The music was waking something in both of them. The next morning at school, Liam sat in the back row of the auditorium during announcements, only half listening, until one sentence caught his attention. The governor's office is partnering with the White House to host a statewide student talent competition. The winner will perform in Washington, D.C. for President Donald Trump. The room buzzed with surprise and curiosity, but Liam's heart began to race. It wasn't the idea of winning that gripped him. It was the sudden spark of purpose. He hadn't performed since losing his father. His friends didn't even know he played. But the idea of sharing his music, his truth, ignited something inside him. That evening, he returned to the piano. He didn't have a song, not yet. But he had feelings, memories, and the voice of his father echoing in his head. It's not just notes, kiddo. It's truth. So he played. Slowly at first, then more confidently. He began composing a piece rooted in memory. His dad's last hug before deployment, the unspoken promise, the letter left behind and only opened after the funeral. The emotions were raw, and each note reflected the pain, the love, and the journey through grief. Rachel watched from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She knew this wasn't just about music. It was healing. For Liam, for herself, maybe even for others. Over the next few days, Liam poured everything into his song, but self-doubt crept in. At school, students practiced flashy routines, powerful vocals and polished performances. Liam kept his song a secret. Could a quiet piano piece really stand out? During lunch, his best friend Josh teased, "You entering that big talent thing?" Liam just shrugged, unsure how to explain something so personal. One night, Liam nearly gave up. He closed the piano lid, feeling defeated. Then he noticed faint initials carved into the wood. T.B., his father's. A pocket knife carving he hadn't seen before. Liam smiled through tears. This wasn't about winning. It was about remembering, about truth. He opened the lid and played again. That same night, Rachel sat awake, unable to sleep. She watched Liam through the crack in the door, his face lit by the soft glow of the lamp. The music was beautiful, haunting and honest. She remembered the letter her husband had left behind. She had never let Liam read it, thinking he was too young. But now she realized he was ready. The next morning, she quietly placed the envelope on the piano. When Liam found it, he hesitated. Then, with trembling hands, he opened it. Inside were words of love, encouragement, and one line that struck him deeply. If you ever feel lost, play your truth. It will always guide you home. That sentence became his anchor. He refined the piece until it told the full story. His father's deployment, the goodbye, the ache of loss, and the slow return to light. He recorded the performance on his mom's phone using a borrowed microphone. No frills, just him and the music. He stared at the submission screen, unsure, but Rachel placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You've already made me proud. Just let the world hear you." He clicked, submit. Days passed. Then a week. Life returned to normal. School, chores, quiet piano sessions. Liam tried not to hope. Until one Monday afternoon, the phone rang. Rachel answered. Her eyes widened. "Liam," she whispered, handing him the phone. A warm voice greeted him. "Hi, this is Angela Martin from the governor's office. Congratulations." "Liam, out of thousands of submissions, your composition has been selected. You'll be performing next month in Washington, D.C., in front of President Trump." Liam froze. "We'll handle the travel arrangements," Angela continued. "But, more importantly, thank you. Your music moved everyone." Rachel collapsed to her knees in tears. Liam held the phone tight, his heart pounding. He didn't know what awaited in D.C., but he knew this was only the beginning. Word spread fast in their small town. Teachers congratulated him. Students high-fived. Him in the hallways. Even Josh was stunned. "You? Playing for the president? That's insane!" Local papers ran a story. Local teen to perform for president. It was overwhelming. Liam had always stayed in the background, but now people were listening. Rachel whispered one evening, "Your father would be bursting with pride." The day of the flight came. It was Liam's first time on a plane. He gazed out the window, watching the skyline of D.C. approach. Rachel sat beside him, holding his hand. At the airport, a friendly woman named Michelle greeted them with a schedule. "You'll perform tomorrow night," she said. "The president will be there, along with veterans, Gold Star families, and dignitaries." Liam's heart raced. These were people who understood loss. People like his family. That night, in their hotel room, Liam sat at the desk, fingers dancing across imaginary keys. Rachel watched quietly. She knew tomorrow wasn't just a performance. It was something deeper, for Liam and for everyone listening. The next morning, Liam was escorted to the venue, a grand hall within a secure government building. A gleaming, black grand piano stood alone on stage. He was given an hour to rehearse. When his fingers met the keys, the sound was richer, fuller than anything he'd ever played. Halfway through, he paused, overwhelmed by emotion. This wasn't just for his dad anymore. It was for every soldier, every grieving family, every quiet heart trying to be heard. That evening, the room filled with guests, veterans in uniform, Gold Star families, politicians. Many wore pins with the faces of lost loved ones. Behind the curtain, Liam waited nervously in a borrowed black suit. President Trump entered with a quiet presence. He stopped to greet Gold Star families, listening to each one. Liam was surprised. It felt genuine. When the MC stepped up, the room grew quiet. Our next performer is a young man from Tennessee whose song moved our entire selection committee to tears. Please welcome Liam Bennett. As Liam approached the piano, the world felt heavy and still. He glanced at the president, who sat beside a Marine widow holding her daughter. Trump met Liam's gaze and nodded. Liam began to play. The first notes were soft, tentative, like whispers from the past. The melody grew, each chord a memory. A boy waving goodbye, the fear of silence, the echo of a knock at the door. Rachel wept from the back row. The heart of the song came. Loss, the letter, the ache that never quite fades. Then a shift, a gentle progression toward hope, healing. The final note hung in the air. Silence. Then President Trump stood. One by one, the room rose to its feet in a powerful standing ovation. Liam sat, stunned. Trump approached the stage. "Young man," he said, voice low and steady. "That was one of the most powerful performances I've ever heard. You didn't just play music. You told a story we all needed to hear." Liam replied softly, "It was my dad's story. Maybe others, too." The president nodded. "You honored them, all of them." Rachel joined Liam on stage, holding him tightly. Later, in a private room, Trump met with them again. "You know," he said, removing his jacket, "we see a lot of talent at these events, but very few go beyond talent. Yours did." He turned to Rachel. "Your husband's